Hello wrestling fans, the Wrestling Wizard here, and welcome to another video where of course we're going to review this week's episode of SmackDown. And the main talking point from SmackDown was the fact that Jey Uso has stated that he's done with the bloodline, that he's quit WWE, he's got on his bike and got out of there, and you can already see the comedic posts coming up. But no, he hasn't legitimately left WWE, he's probably just having a bit of a rest, a bit of a break. He's been one of the centerpiece roles in this whole cinematic bloodline storyline to this point, and he deserves a break. I mean, Roman gets plenty of breaks, so why should Jey not get the breaks? And I also love the fact that when we got Jimmy introduced tonight, because of course we knew Jimmy was going to explain his actions for SummerSlam, they didn't go down the predictable route. The predictable route would of course been Jimmy saying that he attacked Jey out of pure jealousy. And I don't think many fans would have been that impressed, because it sort of doesn't really give too much rationale as to why you would attack your brother and cost him the biggest moment of his career. But what he actually said was that he did it to protect Jey, that he didn't want Jey turning into a narcissistic, I won't repeat the rest, Roman Reigns. So in a way, he was trying to do it for the good of his brother. And you're kind of like, was that really the case? Also, after that segment, Jey getting attacked and Jimmy didn't come out and help him. And also, if you go back to SummerSlam, when Jimmy super kicks Jey, Paul Heyman looks like he knows what's going on. Roman Reigns, on the other hand, was completely shocked. So is there far more layers to this than we know? I mean, Roman Reigns pretty much offered on a plate Jimmy the role of the right-hand man again, and he turned it down. He said, this isn't about Roman Reigns. This is about saving his brother Jey. So I like the fact that there's still more intrigue with this. And allegedly there's been reports that WWE's plan long term is to have Jey and Jimmy in a one-on-one match at WrestleMania. So taking Jey off TV kind of fills out that time a little bit. But I'll be interested to see how they move forward with Jimmy in Jey's absence, but we'll have to wait and see. But what a segment. So, of course, that brings us on to the main point of this show. We're going to look at the good, the bad, and the wizardry of tonight's show. But before we get into the juicy stuff, as always, it'd be very much appreciated if you could like the video, share the video, and even better, subscribe if you're new. And I'm going to kick off with my first good moment, kind of feel-good moment from the show. I know many fans were down on this, but the fact that we actually got to see LA Knight on TV getting a victory. Now, I know it wasn't groundbreaking. He beat Top Dollar. I mean, that's not exactly going to set the world alight, but he's made it very clear that this Miz feud is going to continue. He referred to the Miz, and I love the way he said, it doesn't even matter if your name's Phil, Uncle Phil. That, you know, it's kind of a feel-good moment there and then. The LA Knight is on the show, and the crowd were lapping it up. Loved every second of it. The next good moment from the show was the fact that we got to see the rated R superstar in Edge on this week's episode of SmackDown. I thought we were going to have to wait until next week. Of course, that's going to be the 25th anniversary celebration of Edge's career, and what a guy. I think we need to dedicate a video solely to Edge. I think I'm going to pop that up next week at some point because he deserves it. And we are going to get next week on that show, Sheamus versus Edge, because Edge and Sheamus cut a very heartfelt promo between the two of them, basically saying they both had a positive influence on one another. The fact that Edge went on the Celtic Warrior Workouts YouTube channel of Sheamus's, and it got his passion back, knew that he could physically handle himself at the very, very top level back in WWE once more. No excuses along the way. That was his incentive to do it. And also Sheamus said that Edge was there for him at low points during his career as well. So two of my favourite superstars going one-on-one next week. Surely that's got to be a good, right? My next and final good pick from tonight's show was the brief, very short and sharp, no pun intended there, because they're dressing sharp segment with Bobby Lashley, Angelo Dawkins and Montez Ford. Loving the fact that the Street Profits have aligned themselves alongside Big Money Bob. And I just like the fact they've essentially gone out and said, look, SmackDown needs some new blood. And the fact that they're going to be the next major faction in WWE. And I think they can be. I think they've got huge potential. Bobby Lashley has fast become one of my favourite superstars in WWE. He's not quite snuck in my top four. My top four still is Bray Wyatt, Randy Orton, LA Knight and Drew McIntyre. But the way Drew McIntyre has been booked lately, maybe there's a slot there for big money Bob. I'm just intrigued more than anything to see where this goes. Now, of course, we got to be negative Nancy. We're going to have some bad moments. We can't blow smoke up Triple H's ass all the time. Like, we've got to have some moments that we don't necessarily agree with. As fans, again, you may not agree with this, but I wasn't a fan of Io Sky coming down in the middle of an Asuka-Charlotte match. Mainly because you just knew it was going to happen. When you've got Asuka and Charlotte and they're giving that away on an episode of SmackDown, you just know straight away, cue an interference, and that's exactly what we got. For me personally, I'd have preferred it if Io Sky got her own like celebration segment, because one thing WWE are getting criticised for at the moment, not just WWE, the wrestling world in general, the fact that the women are not getting enough spotlight. So give Io Sky her own segment, a celebration segment of the fact that she's cashed in her Money in the Bank at SummerSlam and become the new women's WWE champion, rather than just sort of getting involved in a match that we knew there would be interference in anyway. Prefer it if they didn't have the match in the first place. That moves us swiftly on to my final critique, my final bad moment, if you like, pick from tonight's show, the fact that Karrion Kross lost again. Now, there's no shame, absolutely no shame in losing to the phenomenal AJ Styles. He's an absolute living legend, one of my favourite superstars of all time actually, in AJ Styles. However, I just can't get behind the way they're booking Karrion Kross. And yes, he cut a fire promo and teased the potential incoming faction, but why would a character like Karrion Kross need other members to make him stronger? Like, for me, that's just a weak way out of elevating the Karrion Kross character. Karrion Kross is a character that should be an absolute weapon on his own, or alongside Scarlett. And yes, Karrion Kross with his own stable is going to be fire. This is the Triple H era WWE, and of course stables are at the very front of Triple H's booking, really, in terms of priority and the way he books things that way. But Karrion Kross is a weapon to be laughing when you're losing to someone in a match, regardless of the caliber of the superstar you're losing to. I just don't get it. Wouldn't you want to win? Wouldn't you want to state your dominance? Like, it's just like, okay, I can't get it done on my own, but others can help me. And again, I've probably just been Nigel negative. And that moves me on to my top pick, my wizardry moment from tonight's SmackDown. How could it not be this? Rey Mysterio beating Austin Theory to become the new United States champion. Austin Theory has had that belt for 258 days, and Rey Mysterio has put an end to that reign. What a feel-good moment. Rey deserves this, because Rey has been in some major storylines. Of course, the storyline he had alongside Dominic Mysterio, that match at WrestleMania was fire. Rey is killing it in his later years. He just moves like he did when he first came to WWE. And I just can't not like this guy. He's a guy that you could just never, ever in a million years ever see turning heel, and never should. He never should turn heel, Rey Mysterio. But talking of heel turns, do you feel like they're planting the seeds for Santos Escobar to get at Rey Mysterio later down the line? Because, of course, Austin Theory took Santos Escobar out of the match, injured him so much so that he seemed at the time happy with the fact that Rey Mysterio is going to replace him, but deep down, is he really happy? I'm not saying they're going to go full on heel with Santos Escobar. They don't really need to, but a feud with Rey Mysterio would be pretty cool. A feud from within the LWO. I kind of like that. I feel like there's layers there. I do hope they get the booking of Austin Theory right moving forward. That kid's got so much potential. I've not really digged this heel version of Austin Theory. I preferred the way he was booked back in NXT, to be honest with you. His work alongside the Way, I thought, was some of his best work. The kid's got potential. He's super, super young. He's got years on him. He's beat John Cena at WrestleMania, for crying out loud. Or did he? Because could we really see him? Anyway, thank you so much for watching the video. As always, it'd be very much appreciated if you could like the video, share the video, and even better, subscribe if you're new. And of course, share your thoughts and opinions on tonight's show, and be brutally honest. Thank you. Catch you in the next one.